Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
My bite's not close to my bark, buddy. And slid down so we can see a red suitcase right here for law enforcement if they're watching and you guys would like to come back here. Of her being out here. So this is what we're doing today. We will see you guys back here real soon.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, good morning, my beautiful people of YouTube and Twitter. We got to remember Twitter. Hello, all my beautiful people out there in the land of Twitter. We are running on Twitter this morning. We don't normally do it, but, you know, some of these cases do require some more audience members, right? So we decided to go ahead and run on Twitter this morning. We got a few things. We've got a missing autistic boy out of Michigan. We're going to get an update from Jennifer Santanello, and then we're going to dive right on into the Bryan Kohberger stuff. And many of you guys know I've made 2 tours out to Moscow, Idaho, and I plan on being there for his trial whenever that does come around. We're going to get to the language of letting go. So far, we're at October 10th, and we haven't cracked the side of the book this month. So we're going to read, get ourselves refocused as we start breaking into the last part of our year. Guys, I know this time of the year is really tough for many of us, and we all try to help as much as we can. So I'm just going to give you guys a little tidbit of advice. If you haven't already started now is the time to start your Christmas shopping. You don't want to wait up until the moment of Christmas to do all that shopping. A couple months before will really help stretch your dollar and get as much as you can. So I just wanted to remind my audience, for those that participate in Christmas, you know, maybe consider starting your Christmas shopping earlier to help you this year. And maybe you didn't have to do it previous years, but this year might be the one. So we have a horrible economy, and I want everybody to have a wonderful Christmas. So I just wanted to make sure I just kind of gyrated some ideas in your brain. Anyways, good morning, Sheila. It's nice to see you. First, to say good morning to BHB and chat. Nani, it's nice to see you. She hasn't been able to come for a while because our schedule's been all over the place, right? And I can't say that the schedule is going to be any different the last half of the year, but we're going to try to get back on a regular scheduled session because I've got other commitments that I'm going to be starting to engage in this month. Many of you guys know I'm political. We're coming up on the 2024 elections. So I'm going to be heavily involved in addition to doing all the true crime and traveling the country. So yay me, right? I'm not going to have, you know, they always tease me about my hair, but by the time 2024 elections come around, I probably will be bald by pulling my hair out. So good morning, Rain. It's nice to see you. Joyce, it's nice to see you. Sonia, I want to say something. Okay, this is what I want to say about Sonia. Sonia, I'm going to talk about you, but I'm not doing it behind your back. I'll do it in front of your face. That's how we roll over here, right? We don't do that sneaky shit behind back chats. So Sonia she's a beautiful soul. And you guys know that I have Teespring and, you know, shirts, and I design shirts, you know, just to get something, you know, just out there. Well, she does amazing shirts. She does amazing stuff, but it's not that. That's not why I support Sonia. And I don't support her because she supports me. I don't do that. Many people come here every single day and support this channel, support me in a variety of ways. What I love about Sonia is I didn't realize that I didn't realize she had a shirt contest. Bullhorn Betty did not make that administrative decision, okay? I will be honest. But that just shows you how sweet she is. You know, she does things, and it's not even there. I didn't realize all the great things she does for these cases behind the scenes. For example, I had no idea she was sending Jennifer Santanello shirts. I had no idea she was sending Jennifer Santanello supplies, flyers. She even made a QR code. She made keychains for her. She did a lot. Okay. And I don't think people here on the Bullhorn Betty channel realize how hard, not only that I work, but the beautiful souls of my mods. And Sonia's not alone. You know, there's a lot of things that all of my mods collaborate on. So I also want you guys to know that it's not just me. You know, always say thank you to my mods because they do amazing work right next to me. They're not in front of me. They're not behind me. They're next to me. And so I just wanted to make sure that I gave all of my mods a big warm thank you. Because you put up with my crap, which it's not really my crap, it's everybody else's crap that they have a problem with. So I just want to thank my mods because I really truly believe I have some of the best mods on this platform. And here's why. Because they've had to endure more than any other mod on this platform. And they do it with their head held high. And who can fault them for that? So again, just a big shout out to my lovely mods. You guys know you guys have a special place in my heart, and I love each and every one of you. But thank you, Sonia, for all the additional work that you do to really make this channel special. So thank you for that. Michelle, good morning. Bullhorn Betty is present. We have Robin. Good morning, Robin. Pen 1010 is in the house. Vic, good morning. It's nice to see you. Stephanie, obsessed with true crime. Aren't we all? Except we add just a little more obsession. It's called coffee. We are addicted, okay? You know what? We talk about people that have, substance abuse problems. I think we need to come to realization and we just need to be honest with ourselves, okay? There's just sometimes that we have to make the first step, right? And the first is admitting we have a problem, okay? I have a problem. Coffee is my problem, okay? If I could hook it into my veins and pump it in, I would do that. That sounds like a big problem. I think I need help, okay? I need help. My whole life is filled with coffee. I bathe in it. I drink it. I spray it on my body. I'm surprised my house doesn't smell like a coffee shop. I need to stop. Mustang Sally. Well, good morning, love bug. It's nice to see you here. Probably because I'm actually on time this morning. Stephanie, it's nice to see you. Sweet Misery, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Amy, it's nice to see you. Lady 7 Up. Ricky Beavers is in the house. Say what? Good morning, my love. The struggle is real. Patty Burris, it's nice. It's nice. Do us breakfast video with coffee included. The problem with that, Patty, is that if I did that, everybody knows where I live, right? Because, I've been plastered all over the internet for 2 years. So if I started cooking something like that, I'm surprised people haven't knocked on my door when I've done my cooking shows. I saw that you made beef stew. Can I have a bowl, please? I'll set up the smorgasbord in the front yard. You guys just come on over here and help yourself, okay? Now I can't do anything about the grumpy neighbor next door, okay? I just can't. Oh, and you know what's so sweet? My neighbor does so much stuff for me here that every now and again you guys know I cook him food. He's older, he's an elderly gentleman, but he's our watch guy. He takes care of our neighborhood when we're gone. He's here all day. He's the guy that's nosy, right? He's all up in everybody's business. I love him to death. When you're always on the road, you don't mind people being in your business when you need them to watch your house. You need to sneak look in the windows. Go ahead. Here's the key to the house. Just make sure nobody's home when I get here. Okay. And we're all good. So I take him out to dinner every now and again. And, elderly, they're on fixed incomes. We all know that. It's not like these people, it's not like we all live on high on the hog around here. This is Florida. So we all are hard workers. But he took me out for pizza. I felt so bad, like I wanted to pay for it. But he was absolutely insistent. He was buying me pizza. I said, okay, God bless you, right? So we had some really good pizza. If you guys are in Bradenton, Eleni is Eleni Pizza. It's Pizza Works off of 15th Street East. They're running a special and they just started a new app. So if you guys are considering pizza in this area, please call them. And it was really good. And they got this best margarita pizza. They even have a shrimp scampi pizza. Holy crap. I will tell you, I always get a small shrimp scampi pizza because I don't like eating seafood after it's sat overnight. So anyways, good morning, everybody else that I missed. Hillbilly Nitro, nice to see you. Hunted Coyotes, Patricia, Angel, it's nice to see you all. All right, so just to get started on this morning, we're going to read the language of letting go, and then we're going to dive right into this. So October 10th, see how it feels to do it right. In skydiving, there's an activity called dirty diving. At the drop zone, you'll see people lying on their bellies on a contraption that looks like a skateboard. They make it all move on the ground as if they were free falling through the air. They're training their bodies and themselves to do it right. They're experiencing how it feels to do it right. Do you have something you're trying to learn how to do? Are you struggling to let go of someone? Are you trying to do something for the first time? Conquer your fear of flying or write a book. Do you have a meeting schedule that's causing you strain? Maybe you need to approach your boss and ask for a raise. See yourself doing it. Quiet yourself first by deliberately relaxing each part of your body and your mind. Then imagine yourself doing it, whatever it is. See how it feels to do it right. Go into each detail of how it would feel if you are doing it right. If you encounter a block that keeps you from moving forward smoothly in your visualization time, ask your higher power or yourself for a remedy or release that block. Do you have fear that it's blocking you? Is it new or an old fear? Maybe it's concern over what somebody told you long ago about your inadequacy. Release that energy, then start all over again, seeing what it feels to do it right. Keep your visualization until you can go through the entire process smoothly from beginning to end. If you try but can't imagine yourself doing something, much less seeing how it feels to do it right, maybe you're trying to do something that's not right for you. Ask your higher power for guidance about that too. Visualization can give us time to safely dirt dive and work through awkwardness, fear, potential blocks, and problems. Sometimes spending quiet time trying to visualize how it feels to do it right can give us a message that it either is or isn't right for us. God help me use my mental power to create the most positive scene I can imagine taking place in my life. Positivity. I can tell you, don't get engaged in all of the negativity. It really is absolutely worthless. It's counterproductive. It does nothing. And you allow people to rent space in your brain. We don't prescribe to that. And I do mean prescribe. I do legal documents. Legalese is much different than Webster Dictionary. Please pray for Israel. Absolutely. And we have been praying for Israel for the last 2 days. You know, we saw this whole entire country kind of erupt in protest, some that were pretty violent, some that were not. People all across the United States have gone to jail through some of the clashes between the Palestine and the Jewish people here in our own country. So if that's going on here, you know, this war is not even in this country. And if we're having conflict here between two groups of people, you got to think that this is going all over the country, or excuse me, all over the world. You know, there's a lot of hostility between the two parties, and this has been brewing for some time. You know, it's not like this just, we woke up and this problem was knocking at the front door of Israel. This has been a problem that's been going on for many, many, many years. And it's just sad. You know, we always think of Israel because Israel's, it's so small and it's surrounded by such horrible people. And for that small little community or country to be able to keep themselves safe, it's awful. I can't imagine. I mean, just think about it. Waking up one day, we'll never know what it's like. I mean, that's what one of the most beautiful, I shouldn't say we will never know what it's like. We may, but that's what's so beautiful about the United States of America. The United States of America loves its people so much that we would rather go to the war than to have the war come to us. And that's what makes us so powerful and what keeps us so safe here, you know, is because we've never had, or we haven't in our time, in our lifetime, had had bombs going off in our backyard. Can you imagine waking up and finding out our country is under attack? I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine, but that's what Israel is living through right now. I don't believe they started this war, but I do have the ability that, hopefully that this will resolve itself fairly quickly. I don't want, none of us want war. We don't believe in violence. So if we don't believe in violence, obviously we don't believe in war. I personally don't believe in war. But I understand that there are times when you've got to fight back, when you have to defend yourself. And of all people, I know that. So I don't want to make it a political conversation on here, but we definitely want to make sure we pray for everybody, all involved, all the innocent people on both sides of the aisle. And that's the end of the day. All the innocent people we need to be praying for on both sides of the aisle, because no matter how you look at it, they're all being affected, even the people that don't want to be. So I can't imagine. I really can't. Getting on with our story this morning. This is a concern for me. One of my beautiful people here, my subscribers, have sent me this about this young autistic boy from Michigan. Okay, and I just want you guys to see this little boy's face, because if you guys are in Clinton County, Michigan, please be on the lookout for this youngster. He's autistic. He loves to climb. He loves trees. So if you are out there actively looking for, what is his name? His name is, I don't even know if they have his name on here, to be honest with you. I don't see the kid's name, so I don't even know what to call him. Do they have a name on here? Hold on. I'll find it. I've got an article about it here. And it says, this is what it says. It says Clinton County Under Sheriff Mike Goot explains to 6 News why they have asked civilians to wait until Tuesday morning to assist. So they basically, so this morning they're going to start allowing volunteers to come help them. But at that moment, they had asked them to wait. Law enforcement and specialized search and rescue teams prepared themselves for the elements. What it is, it means the helicopters with it. What it does is it means helicopters with infrared seeking devices on the helicopters are able to look down and see heat source. And when there's a lot of people in the woods, it kind of distracts from that. So that's why they didn't want people searching just yet. But they said that it's open for searching today. They don't know who the victim may be because of the missing child being autistic. They don't know who the victim may be. How do they not know who the victim is? It literally says that on here. It says it right here. They don't know who the victim may be, right here. Because of Jermaine, because Jermaine is missing child being autistic. Look inside things. Don't just expect him to be walking around. He may be hidden. He's a climber. He may be in a tree or something like that. So we're asking people to check their own property. Check their own property for this young boy. Again, it's kind of weird because they have a picture of this boy. How can they not have his name on here? Let me just see if this is it. It just says call for a missing child north of Clark Road in Watertown Township. The 3-year-old picture walked. 3-year-old boy pictured walked away from his residence and has not been seen since. He is autistic and nonverbal. We are seeking assistance from the public in locating him. If you live in the area, please check your home, outbuilding, and cameras. We are continuing this search with specialized resources this evening with hope of locating him. If we are unsuccessful this evening, we will bring in more volunteers in the morning. Please keep this family in your thoughts and prayers. And I can honestly tell you that I have looked into this case. Obviously, I looked into it yesterday, or late yesterday. And so I waited until this morning, and then I opened up just to check to see if he had been found. Because again, it's a 3-year-old boy. We know that when kids walk away, we know that they can only get so far. We've had autistic kids, wander off in I have to be honest with you. They've found several of the autistic kids, over the last few years that have walked away. They found them out in the woods and whatnot. But there was also the one case where they found the kid in the pond. Remember that? He wandered off and they found him. So that's where my heart is breaking. So in with autistic children, this is one thing I learned searching for children, is that when you're autistic, it's noise scares them. I didn't know that. So it's like, when you're looking for a normal kid, how you're hollering in the woods and you're like we were out there for JJ Rollins and we're like, JJ, can you hear us? JJ, when we're out there in the woods, we're calling that person's name. That could scare this kid. Being around somebody you don't know, you're dealing with a whole different type of brain function. So this child's probably doesn't like strangers, doesn't gel, very quiet, very scared, very timid, hiding, like they said. So this is going to be a much more difficult search for this child, because you don't have a child that you can just call out for and they'll call back to you. You're talking about an autistic kid that's nonverbal, and that just puts a whole different element of concern on this case. So if you guys are in Clinton County, Michigan, you would like to assist, at least look at your cameras, at least go out and check your outbuildings, look up in your trees to see if there's any child up there. I know this kind of sounds weird, but this child's a climber and that might be his comfort zone. So we need to try to help this family as much as possible. Before we get started, this is going to be the last little touch on Laila for this section, this segment. And this is her mother. And my heart broke for her, because you can really see Jennifer struggling. Here's the situation. So we had a lot of good support right out of the gate with this case, and we were able to bring a lot of attention to this case. This case obviously has its own problems, but the one problem we're having is that, Jennifer's been running these stories, and she's trying to get the information out there about her child. They may have more information than I do, because I'm not there. The only thing I do is I just let Jennifer know when I'm coming in to search. I was already supposed to be back, but I have some other obligations that I need to take care of before I go back there for a third search. And it's only 43 this morning. I know Florida's cooling down too. It's surprising. I walked out there, it was comfortable yesterday for the first time, right? But anyways, Jennifer Santanello, the interest in her daughter's case, I'm starting to see wane a little bit. So I just definitely want to infuse. I'm going to try to go through some of my content and get some more videos produced and out there, just to bring more attention to the case. But I did want to let you know we really need to work very hard on trying to get her name and everything out there, because Laila Santanello has been missing for over 90 days. And I realize there are other people out there that want to be the only person that's involved in the case. And I'm sorry, but this is a missing person. There's no room for pissing contests in this case. And that's what we've been having to deal with. And so the attacks on me have been really out of control, especially on Twitter, because of this one idiot PI that's totally unprofessional, in my opinion. And I'm allowed to have that damn opinion. And I'm allowed to tell anybody I damn well please, because his conduct has been atrocious. And the things that I saw him posting on Twitter are unprofessional and can't even speak, and unethical, period. And it's not a person that I would ever tell anybody to work with, period. And I'm talking about SF Investigates. So I just want to make sure that I don't do any dirty stuff behind the scenes. And if somebody wants to come at me, here it is. Here it is. So he threatened to sue me because he decided to pick a fight with me. And I told him how unprofessional and what a piece of garbage I thought he was. So he thought, oh, I'm going to sue her. It was a publicity stunt. And if it's not a publicity stunt, he's going to have a hard problem here in Florida. This is not California, buddy. But either way, Jennifer Santanello needs help. This guy, all he's been doing is blowing smoke up people's house, making telephone calls and saying, oh, but the police said this. Well, what are you saying? What are you doing? Besides picking up the phone and being a secretary, what the fuck are you doing on the case? Excuse my language, right? So we're going to hand this over to Laila, or Jennifer. She is struggling right now. She is struggling. This has got to be the hardest thing that this woman has ever gone through. She has to deal with unprofessional PIs that she didn't hire, and all this nonsense coming from his camp and the people he's associated with, attacking her. He said he was going to step away from this case so he can expose Laila's mother, Jennifer Santanello, a woman that is missing her daughter. What a professional. What a professional. Stay away from chat room PIs, because if they were worth their salt, they don't need to be in chat rooms trying to get and solicit business from unsuspecting people that are having one of the worst times in their world. And then saying, oh, by the way, I'll do this pro bono, but we're going to need to trample you around all over social media so you can raise money for me to go out there, because I'm all the way in California. So you're going to have to pay me because I'm as badass as Dog the Bounty Hunter. We still have got zero information from SF Investigates other than him telling us what law enforcement's telling him. Oh. Thank you for being a great secretary, SF, Mr. Steve. Thank you. Courtesy from the Bullhorn Betty channel.
I'm having a hard time this morning. I wrestling with my emotions, I guess. Every day that goes by feels like I'm getting further and further away from her. I'm trying really hard to live for the kids that are here. Make life as normal as possible for them. Smile and laugh. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. I was watching Nova Grace sleep this morning, and I just kept thinking she has no idea that the trajectory of her life has changed. Or maybe this was the way it was always supposed to be. I can't have any, I don't know. I don't know how to live in both of these worlds. I don't know how to give my kids what they need from me while I'm in so much pain. At some point, they're going to figure out that I'm faking it, right? I'm having a hard time this morning. wrestling with my emotions, I guess. Every day that goes by feels like I'm getting further and further away from her. I'm trying really hard to live for the kids that are here. Make life as normal as possible for them. Smile and laugh. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. I was watching Nova Grace sleep this morning, and I just kept thinking she has no idea that the trajectory of her life has changed. Or maybe this was the way it was always supposed to be. I can't have any. I don't know. I don't know how to live in both of these worlds. I don't know how to give my kids what they need from me while I'm in so much pain. At some point, they're going to figure out that I'm faking it, right?
Sorry about that. I just realized it played a second time. But either way, I just wanted to let you guys hear Laila Santanello's, Jennifer Santanello's message again. It's really, really hard. And, you know, she is very strong. I got to say, she's very strong. And one of the things that I had told her when I saw her is just, be easy on yourself and, take care of yourself because you're going to need your energy. And if you're completely, utterly wiped out, you're no good for anybody. So I know that this is the hardest thing and that this lady is going to have, and her family is going to have to walk through. It's been 3 months, guys. 3 months for a girl that has no money, no phone. And she's called no one for help. So these are the things that make us very, very concerned when it comes to this case. Okay. So just please keep the Laila Santanello case going. Please, pass it around, talk about it in the chat rooms, bring awareness to it. I know Christmas is coming up. We're doing a $1 Will Do campaign for the Santanello family. One of my mods can put the GoFundMe into the chat. If you have a buck that you can help this family with, please, by all means, help them. But again, like I said, I understand that there is Christmas is coming up. Things are hard for everybody. So if you can't just do your part and pass her name and her story around, that's what you can do instead. All right, guys. So now getting on to the main reason why we are all here. Okay. And it's the whole explosion of Dylan Mortenson and Bethany Funke and the revelations we found. We had bombshell revelations when this case, when Bryan Kohberger was arrested in the Idaho 4 case. For those that are just tuning in, and maybe you've never heard of the Idaho 4, maybe you're new to true crime. Okay. The Idaho 4 is 4 University of Idaho students that were slain in their off-campus housing on November 13th around 4 to 4:20 in the morning. Nobody knew who had done this horrific crime. The roommates, there was 2 surviving roommates, Dylan Mortenson and Bethany Funke, that were both inside the home. One was on the second level, one was on the first level that fateful morning. Everybody under the sun started becoming armchair detectives and pointing the fingers at many of these bright, beautiful souls that were Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan's friends. It was very hard for me to accept that these kids that they hung out with almost daily could be this horrific and this brutal in this attack. It was gruesome. It was angry. And I couldn't see any of these one kids, any single person that they were associated with having that kind of, being that type of person that could carry out something so heinous. And I remember one of the first things I said while I was there publicly is, when we find out who this person is, I can tell you it's nobody we're looking at, and it's somebody that we are not even thinking of. That was one of the first statements I made arriving to that home in person. Shortly, and that was our first trip. We decided to come back for a second trip, and that was in December. Well, we learned, it was at the end of November. Was it at the end of November? I'm trying to think of it. No, it was, the second trip was at the end, because I remember we were there for New Year's. We were sitting, Olivia and I went out just ever so slightly for New Year's because we had been working. We're like, okay, well, we're here, so we might as well go have a cocktail. So, long story short, we learned of Bryan Kohberger. What day did we learn of him? It was like December. I can't remember when we learned of him. I remember when he was arrested, and I remember being out there for the, because I remember the exact day. I just don't know what the actual date was. It was the day that they were bringing the cleaners to the house. They were pulling in all of those trailers. And then all of a sudden they just started packing up and leaving. And we're all there confused, like, why are they leaving? And literally a few minutes after that, we learned that Bryan Kohberger was named and arrested. And that was on, I know that was right before New Year's. What day was he arrested? The 30th or something like that? Because he was extradited back to Idaho on the 4th of January. So I remember all these dates, but I can't remember the exact date that it was that those cleaners came. And I do have a video of it, so I'll be able to tell really quickly. But long story short, so now Bryan Kohberger is here. We learn of this knife sheath. First, I was the first person that did any kind of news report from Wazoo. None of the news organizations, News Nation, CNN, Fox News, every large news yes, the 30th. Thank you, Only M. All the large news organizations were literally just in Moscow. And so for me and Olivia, we just happened to stop at a coffee shop. I wanted some, not a Starbucks. This place was called Zoe's. It was literally right across the street from the Wazoo campus. And I remember looking up from Olivia. Olivia's sitting, like, there's a glass behind her. Olivia's sitting over here. I'm sitting over here, and I'm looking at her. And then right over her head, I see Wazoo. And it says Washington State University. And I remember just happening, because I just was talking to her, and I just happened to look to the side, and I'm like, Olivia. She's in the middle of a sentence. And I'm like, Olivia. She's like, what? I'm like, holy crap, there's Wazoo. She goes, so? I'm like, there's another university. They think whoever killed them is a university student. I remember getting up out of that seat with my phone and literally running across the street to the sign, and I started recording. And I never even thought, I remember after that recording, I went back, I said, how crazy would it have been if Bryan, or if the assailant drove by us while we were out there recording, and come to find out he was still at his apartment during that time. It freaked me out. I have to be honest. It freaked me out a little bit. But we knew of this knife sheath. We learned early on that the knife sheath had, touch DNA. of a male subject. We know that there's 3 untested DNAs or unidentified DNA profiles that were still left in the house. And I guarantee the defense is going to capitalize on that. But that's not the reason for this conversation. We know for a fact that he was indicted. They were going to do a preliminary hearing and chose a grand jury indictment. And during that indictment, Bethany Funke was required to come. It was subpoenaed and required to testify in that grand jury or that preliminary hearing on behalf of the defense. And she said, hell to the nah, I'm not coming. You're not going to force me to come there and be a witness for the defense in this preliminary hearing. And she put up a fight, thank God. So they agreed that the defense would eventually meet with her. The state prosecutor, Bill Thompson, decided to go ahead and move forward with the grand jury indictment. Bryan Kohberger and his defense team have challenged that indictment and requested 2 stays, one that was partially granted, one that was denied. And now we just received a notification from the judge that they're denying the motion to stay proceedings. So now they're going to be forced to go to the court. Well, during all of this, during this hearing and stuff, an article came out from Airmail. And this is something related to grand jurors leaking some information about the grand jury process. Now, I have to be honest with you, if I had a little more time to research yesterday and today, I would probably see what the requirements and obligations are from the grand jury, especially after the grand jury subsides. You know, they've completed their task. They indicted Bryan Kohberger. Are they then now required to also, you know, are they part of that gag order? Those are legalities that I'm unsure about lawfully. You know, are they under that same gag order? Are they not allowed to be saying this stuff? And how in the world did this information get leaked, and how did it get leaked? But they said it was from a juror that was on that grand jury that leaked it. So here, I'm going to go ahead and share this, and I'm just going to read this to you guys so you guys are up to date with as much information that I'm up to date with. And it's survivors of the Idaho massacre were awake and texting during the rampage. Here's my issue with that. We have the probable cause affidavit, and what they're describing here is not even remotely close to what we read in that probable cause affidavit. You guys know I came under heavy fire because I was outraged at an 8-hour 911 call when I realized Bethany Funke, Dylan Mortenson had actually seen the assailant. And everybody tried to say she was in shock. These are people that have never been in shock, most likely before in their life. I have personally been in shock. It was shock that I don't even know how many minutes it lasted. It didn't last for hours. It didn't last for half hours. And granted, shock is different for everyone. Okay. But the difference is when you're shocked and you're frozen, you can't move. You're petrified. Okay. When you're shocked, your hands just, you're uncontrolled. For me, I couldn't get my hands to stop shaking when I was in shock, and I couldn't speak. So everybody came out and you know, it was bash Betty, because I brought up legitimate arguments about this. Like, why did it take so long for these girls to call 911? We also learned, and I even said that we learned that there was some communications between them during this situation. Of course, I was called a liar because nobody wants to believe anything that comes out of, I shouldn't say nobody wants to believe it. We got, you know, almost 200 some odd people in here this morning. So it's not that people, you know, they know when I go out there, I get information, but they will deceive their audience and act like I don't. But we told you guys this. We told you guys that there were communications between Bethany and Dylan long before this article. I even came out and said, you know, and people were outraged at that. Could Dylan have saved these people? Got a whole freaking article, you know, little segment in a Vanity Fair article about how wrong I was for making that statement. Well, The proof is in the pudding. I find it funny because people can sit there and talk so much crap for you up front. Like everybody last year, November and December, horrible. Don't know what she's talking about. She's just making stuff up. And now here we are months later. And finally, some information that I was providing my audience that I was called a liar over obviously is true and accurate and correct. Who knew, right? Who knew? Who knew? So, and we also said, I also said and argued, there's no way she could be in shock more than a few minutes. And why did I say that? And I explained this very well as well. Because after he walked by, she said she shut the door. The minute she shut that door, her shock was over. Her frozen-like stage was over. When she was able to move, that shock was over. And so we had a lot of conversations on here, a lot of people with heated comments. And, once again, Bullhorn Betty doesn't know what she's talking about. And I keep telling you, we have a really high batting average on this show with these cases. And every time, even Gabby Petito and Bryan Laundrie, how many people call us liars? You guys know more than I do because, I don't go on all these chat rooms like you guys do. So you guys know. And then that once this case the Gabby Petito and Bryan Laundrie case ended and the lawsuit began between the parents, all of that information that we had been saying that everybody called us liars about ended up being true. Again, vindication. And of course, people wanted Vanity Fair to write this article about me. Thank God for Brian Enton, a man that was out in front of Bryan Laundrie's home with me for weeks. Got an opportunity to really meet him and know him. And that is an experience I'll never get rid of. And he was amazing. And he absolutely refused to say anything negative about me in this Vanity Fair article. This is a man that has worked next to me. So I just want to put that out there. Everybody tries to say I'm so unprofessional and stuff. No, I'm not. That's the misinformation that they're saying. Why does this always have to be about Betty? Right? That's another thing I always hear. I don't make it about Betty. Right? I make it about these cases. Everybody else turns it into attack Betty. And so Betty has to defend herself. But I quit defending myself a long time ago because the proof is in the pudding. I know when I go out there and I do research, I do a damn good job. And I come out with all the information long before it's ever provided to you by mainstream media. And then when it is provided many months later, we find out that everything that we had said was true, accurate, and correct. Imagine that. Imagine that. So here's what this article says from my friend Mike Ruiz. As you see, another guy that I was out in front of the Laundrie house for weeks with. Got to know this man personally. He was the man that followed Brian's parents into Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park down the Livelong Trail when he did that 90 degrees turn. It was Mike Ruiz. When we found that water bottle, Mike Ruiz was with us. This guy right here that did this article. He was the guy that was out there in the field with us when everybody tried to say that we planted this, that, and the other. No, we had 2 cops, one a sergeant, and a news reporter out there with us, and still told that we planted evidence. Because people sit there and try to act like they literally have no information, but because they thought it, they spoke it as fact. Again, something that they say I do all the time. I do not. So, 2 surviving housemates in an off-campus University of Idaho rental home in Moscow, Idaho, were awake and texting during the massacre that left 4 of their friends dead last November, according to a new report. The 4 a.m. house invasion attack that killed Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin on November 13th in the early morning after they'd spent a Friday night out with friends ahead of the Thanksgiving break. The revelation is attributed to grand jurors on the case who allegedly leaked the information to Gonzalez's father in a lengthy air mail story, although the reporter concedes that neither Gonzalez nor his attorney agreed to comment. So they're aware of this story. A grand juror, ended up making contact with Steve Gonzalez to tell him what happened on the grand jury. Now, I don't know what kind of implications, if that juror is allowed to speak. You know, sometimes once they're done with their requirements, we've seen this in Alec Murdaugh's case, right? When Judge Newman released the jurors, they're like, you can talk to whoever you want to. But this is a little different because this is a grand jury for an indictment. So they're being apprised of information that the rest of the public, as well as the victim's family, are not a privy to. This is information that is directly related to this case and the investigation body of the case. So this could truly interfere with this court hearing and the trial. So I don't know, again, I'm not familiar with the whole grand jury and whether they're bound by a gag order once they're finished with their obligations of the indictment, because it's a secret grand jury. And when you hear secret grand jury, you're thinking they're secret. And not only that, but how does Steve, if this guy contacted him and gave him this information, how does Steve know that this was actually a juror on the grand jury? Because again, they're secret. We have no idea who's on that jury. So, I just want to, these are just some things that are bouncing around in my head. I'm not saying any of this is untrue. As a matter of fact, I believe this is 100% true, because this kind of bodes right in line with some of the information that we were hearing and some of the information I relayed to my audience back when we were in Idaho. So the court issued a restrictive gag order in the case, and neither Steve Gonzalez nor his attorney immediately responded to questions from Fox News Digital about the reports claimed. However, the family, in a statement, called the claims a very poor attempt at getting attention and obviously fictional. So they're actually now saying that this is a poor attempt to get attention. Is this guy even a real juror? Everybody seems to think that this is true, accurate, and correct. But is it? I do know that when I was down there, this is what I learned. Now, I don't know if they were texting between the brutal attacks on their roommates. That wasn't the information that I had received. So there is some differences in what I learned being there and what this article is stating. So it is my understanding after Dylan had awoke, she tried to reach out to all the members of the household to check on them. And nobody responded except Bethany. Now, I don't know what the conversations of those texts between Bethany and Dylan were, but this was not something that was, that they were, my understanding. Again, this is all, information I heard. I have not corroborated this. This is the most corroboration that we've got about these texts in this article. But again, the information that I received is a little bit different than the information contained in this article. So just to clarify that, what I heard is that that Dylan did wake up. Again, she heard some things going on in the house. She reached out to all of the roommates, all of Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie. None of them responded back to her. And she went on to text Bethany. Now, it is my understanding that this was all happening after, not before and not during. But these text messages happened after the massacre had ended, after Bryan walked past Dylan. That is the understanding that I had of those text messages. So I truly believe that now that we hear that there are some text messages, I believe there are, because I heard that. I don't remember if it was my first trip there or my second trip there. I think it was the second trip, because the second trip was when we were able to speak with people closer in the case and investigation. And that's when we learned about that. And we also had learned, and I told the audience here, that, you know, the families were trying to reach out to the surviving roommates and nobody had responded to them by text. But I truly believe that that was just a coincidence, because I honestly believe that law enforcement took their phones and they would have been unable to communicate or speak or respond to texts at that time. I think that truly is. I don't think Dylan intentionally ignored the Gonzalez family. I think that she just, I can't even imagine what they were going through. And I said that, you know, it breaks my heart that I have to bring Dylan Mortenson up and have to talk about this aspect of the case, because it really doesn't look good for her. And this was prior to me even knowing Bethany and her were communicating together. But there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't bode with this art. It doesn't make sense to me in this article. So Steve told the surviving, has been told that the two survivors allegedly were awake and texting through that. More astonishing, his grand jury source alleged that the two girls had been texting one another as the murderer methodically went from one room to the next. Now, again, this could be true. 100%. Mine could be true. Like I said, that's what I heard when I was there at the time. This is kind of a lot more in detail. And again, it's making me question, why would a juror be reaching out to the family and giving them this information? It seems like, you know, somebody that's a part of the process wants the process to go as it's supposed to. So, at least one of the surviving roommates saw something suspicious, according to the court document unveiled in January, 5 months before grand jury indictment stripped Kohberger's defense of a chance to fight the probable cause used to justify his arrest at a preliminary hearing. The roommate on the second floor of the three-story house told police she woke up to noises around 4 a.m. and sounded, she believes, from Gonzalez playing with her dog on the top level. Police would later find Gonzalez and Mogan both dead in the other upstairs bedroom. However, then, according to the probable cause affidavit, she thought she heard Gonzalez said, "There's someone here." She peeked out of her room but didn't see anything, according to the probable cause affidavit. According to around this time, according to investigators, Kernodle was on her TikTok app at 4:12. The house roommate soon overheard crying from Kernodle's room and someone saying that I'm going to help you. She opened her door for the third time and saw a masked man in dark clothes with bushy eyebrows leaving through the rear sliding glass door. She described him later to police as not muscular but athletically built. She froze in shock, according to the documents. He walked by her and out the door. Police believe the four victims had been stabbed repeatedly before 4:25 in the morning. Police did not receive a 911 call until the next day around noon. And this is where our problem is really at, is why did it take them so long from her seeing this man at 4 a.m., a stranger in black with a mask, most likely with the knife still in his hand, walking out her sliding glass door. I can understand that immediately, like, and you're just kind of froze, and they walk by you and you just shut your door and you go sit down, and it's like, what in the world did I just see? And you're there for a minute or two. It feels like eternity, but then you snap back. And that's probably when she started making those calls to the roommates around the house. I heard it was after. They're saying it's during. I have no idea. Everybody keeps saying that. I've got to be honest with you. I have to be honest with you. This is something that you guys do not know. Okay? Oh, there we go. This is something you guys do not know about this investigation. I don't know why this is getting wonky, but it's taking forever to feel like there's like a lag on my end. I looked into that. Mike, I did look into that very, very heavily, a lot more than I've never told anybody on here that I was looking into this allegation. of the drugs and a second person. And I have. I dived in deep into this. And I'm not going to say too much about it, but I'm not sure it holds water. I'm not sure that this story, the whole drug story, holds water. There's a number of reasons. And I understand that Emma Bailey was there and all these other things. Those are just red herrings. They're red herrings. I don't believe do I think that these kids abstained from all the drugs at a university? No. I think that maybe many of them, even Kaylee and Maddie, may have experimented before. Okay. I don't know too many university students that don't try new things when they're finally away from their parents for the first time. So, but do I think that they are just partying all the time? No. These kids weren't like that, in my opinion, at all. These kids were very dedicated. They had great, if you learned anything about Kaylee Gonzalez, she was the kind of person that loved to learn from other people. She was very wise for her young age. And I say wise for a purpose, because there's a difference in being wise and being smart. Being wise is learning from other people's mistakes. Being smart is learning from your own. She was wise. When people got in trouble that she knew, she would go up and ask them, why did you do this? What would you have changed? She was that kind of curious person. And believe me, there was a number of examples that her family provided to us. So that was the kind of person she was. So I don't see her, even if she did experiment, even if she smoked a toke, whatever, I don't believe that it would be an action she would repeat a lot. It just doesn't. She was very focused. She was very determined. She kept her eye on the ball. She was graduating 2 years early. She was starting her life. She just bought herself a Range Rover. I mean, she was really being put on a trajectory for her life that was amazing. I don't see anybody screwing that up over drugs. I mean, let's be honest, drugs don't discriminate, right? They don't discriminate. It doesn't. But you have to be actively engaged in the process in order to have that problem. And I just don't see it. If I believe that, Kaylee or Maddie, they may have smoked pot and stuff like that. I don't see them on harsh drugs. I just don't. I have found absolutely nothing, zero evidence other than speculation, rumors, and everything else. Zero evidence, actual physical, somebody purchased drugs from them, somebody saw them using drugs, something. Zero evidence of that claim. Zero. I literally, outside of people talking about it, nothing holds water to that theory. And I did look into it thoroughly. So, unless something new comes to me, like just, here's, just because you have a party and somebody that's selling drugs shows up doesn't mean that you requested that or that you're a party to that. It's just somebody coming from the school that needs the money. You know what I'm saying? That there might be people. So I don't know. I just don't see these 4 kids doing it. They were, hindsight's 2022. You got to take a different approach to this, because 2023, there's a lot of smart kids out there that, and I've heard this. My sister told me about this when she was going to college, that there are some people out there that are utilizing this to stay up and to be able to complete their courses and stuff like that, using Adderall and whatever to help them stay awake and whatever it is, and my sister was telling me some stuff like that. So, I mean, there is some stuff, but Adderall, seriously, you're not having a quadruple homicide over some Adderall, guys. If that was the case, I mean, you're talking about some harsh drugs, and I'm sorry, but harsh drugs, kids being on harsh drugs, it's very, very obvious. Very obvious. It's not something that can be swept under the rug. Getting stoned and getting drunk's one thing. But being in that, no, I don't believe it. You can't convince me of it. I haven't found anything other than people talking, saying it's true. I just don't believe it. So, Mike, if you find some information, send it to me. I'll definitely change my stance on here if we do find this element of drugs. And guys, I went, and I just want to tell you, like, this wasn't something that I just looked into and did a cursory review. No, I literally invested time and money into finding that answer, speaking to people in Yale. I had many conversations with inmates talking about some stuff. It doesn't exist. You guys will find out. I can't release it right now, but in due time, you guys will find out to the links that I went to investigate the claim of the drugs. But I did. I just couldn't release it and still can't release it. Police did not receive a 911 call until around noon the next day. It came from one of the survivors' phones. According to police, they declined to reveal who actually made the call. While I was out there, to me, the information I understood about that phone call is Hunter made that call. And I'm not talking about Ethan's brother, Hunter. I'm talking about the house, you know, where that camera was, that's 50 feet from Xander Kernodle's room, that picked up the thud and stuff. That was a house right there that had Hunter in it. Hunter is the guy that came out of the sliding glass door with Kaylee Gonzalez that one time when officers heard the noise coming from the room or from the house. They were at another house down the road, and there was people blaring the music, and they walked over to 1122 King Road. And we had the body cam footage. What was that, September something or other? And Hunter comes out with, like, it looked like zip ties on his hands. Whatever that means, right? But it looked like he had zip ties on his hands, and he's walking out trying to talk to law enforcement, and Kaylee was right behind him. And they're like, we'll keep it down. No problem. Remember that? That was Hunter. That's who we believe picked up Dylan Morton's phone and called law enforcement. But I also heard that people had been over at that house since 9 o'clock that morning. So again, why from 9 o'clock that morning to right before noon? What was going on during that time? This is the problem that gives me heartburn with this case, because these are the things that the defense is going to be capitalizing on. And then now we have this whole article throwing a monkey wrench in it, saying that they were texting throughout the entire massacre. I don't believe that. I could be wrong, but let's see where else we're at. The other surviving roommates who was barely referenced in the probable cause filing, that they're referring to Bethany Funke. Bethany Funke literally had one little line in that entire probable cause affidavit. So what information she holds, we have no clue. We can't even speculate on, because she kept her mouth shut. She didn't speak to anybody. She went home, and her family protected her by attorneys. So we still have yet to hear anything from Bethany or what Bethany may have seen or heard. That was not in the filing. The probable cause affidavit is not everything. All that is designed for is to show that there's probable cause for the arrest. They don't have to give you 100% of everything. It's not like you know, it is like civil action, but not. Civil action, if you don't have everything in your complaint, you can't bring it up. You know, this they can add to it. They can charge additional, you know, each individual charge is its own case. In some cases, they incorporate them all together for, you know, process wise, but technically robbery is different from first degree, right? And each first degree could be their own independent case. They put them together because it makes sense to argue it together, because it's all one event. So they could split it apart, though. They technically could. Other surviving roommates who barely was in the probable cause filing agreed to interview with Bryan Kohberger's defense attorney in April after resisting a subpoena in the case. Police relied heavily on the sheath, the suspect vehicle, and the phone records in the probable cause affidavit. However, in the airmail story, also hinted that they have a secret informant who would threaten the screws through undisclosed testimony. Secret informant. Possibly. Secret informant. Latah County prosecuting attorney Bill Thompson notified the court earlier this year that if Bryan Kohberger is convicted, he would seek the death penalty. Idaho Judge John Judge entered a plea of not guilty on Kohberger's behalf in May. Last week, the judge denied the motion to stay, and Kohberger is due back in court on October 26th. And this is going to be a closed meeting. This is not going to be open to the public. It's confidential, so there's no point in even going there the 26th because we're not going to have, I doubt we're even going to have cameras in the courtroom because it's not there for us. This is private. So I don't know how this is going to all play out. All I know is that it's been very uncomfortable watching this case proceed to trial because they've been so secretive this entire process. So secretive. And, you know, when you have a guilty person or an innocent person, why all the secrecy? Because if that person is innocent, don't they deserve to have that information out there? If that person's guilty, don't we have the right to have that information out there? Now, they're not going to be able to keep us out of the trial. They won't be able to do that. But all this stuff leading up to it, it gives me heartburn. What are they hiding from us? How many mistakes did they make? And if they're working so hard to hide all this information about Bryan Kohberger, is it because they don't think that they have the right guy? Is there a possibility of a second person? These are all the questions we have to ask. I looked into the second person as well. Still, I can't bring it up. I mean, I can bring it up, but I just can't discuss it in detail. And so we have another few articles on this. And I just want to read this one statement in the Brett Payne affidavit that we saw from the beginning. We haven't seen it in a while. I mean, occasionally I do kind of come back to it. And this is where we go into the information. Here it is. Dylan Mortenson and Bethany Funke both made statements during the interviews indicating that the occupants of King Road were home by 2 a.m. and were asleep and in their rooms by approximately 4 a.m. This was with the exception of Coronado, who received DoorDash order at the residence at 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash driver. The DoorDash driver has been, obviously not exonerated. What do they call them? Cleared. So here's where it goes in. Dylan Mortenson stated she originally, let me pull this up so you guys can see it a little better. Can you guys see it better now? Yeah, there, hopefully I got it. Let me just move this over. There we go. I think you guys can read it a little bit better. So here, I went too far. So Dylan Mortenson originally stated she went to sleep in her room on the southeast side of the second floor. DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Gonzalez playing with her dog of the upstairs bedroom, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonzalez saying something to the effect, "There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Coronato's phone showed that Coronado was on her cell phone and likely awake using the TikTok app around 4:12. DM stated that she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated that she opened the door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Coronato's room. DM then said she heard a male's voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay. I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, again, that's the Hunter residence that I was talking about, a resident immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or whimpers, followed by a loud thud. A dog can be seen heard barking numerous times starting at 417. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. DM stated she opened her door for a third time after she heard crying and saw a figure clad in black and a mask covering the person's mouth and nose walking toward her. Dylan Mortenson described him as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM and she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked toward the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Now, I don't think that I do believe she was scared. But I've never understood how somebody can be so scared that they can't call law enforcement because, again, like I said, once you have this experience and you understand what shock is, many of you guys know what shock is. You guys have had your own experience, whether it was an accident, whether it was seeing something horrific, whether it was something that you know, even a surgery or something like that. So Bryan is definitely not athletic. Actually, he is actually athletic. He ran quite a bit. He was, but he's a runner versus a weight builder, so he's more athletic than, you know, basically skinny, right? He's tall and skinny, which he is. So, but definitely not built. I think athletic would be good, but not muscular. I think Dylan's description of Bryan was very accurate, in my opinion. What else does she say? The combination of Dylan Morton's statements to law enforcement, a review of the forensic downloads of records from Bethany Funke and Dylan Morton's phone, and video of suspect as described below leads investigators to believe the homicide occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 in the morning. Ethan was athletic and he was built smaller than Kohberger. Oh, yeah. Anjanette Levy on Law and Crime X, also on Steve Gonzalez's statement about Bloom's pack of lies. Interesting. It might be a cult that involved a lot of people, because remember the guy that went into the house that were not cops to look at and took stuff? No, I didn't see that. And that might be a rumor because they didn't let anybody in the house. Even when they cleaned out the house to get their personal items, that was police. That wasn't even, that was the police department. That was the employees. That was the detectives. That was sergeants. That was lieutenants. They didn't really use street cops for the removal of the personal items from the house. They used higher people. Even the chief was out there moving stuff. Chief, the lieutenant, these were, you know, top brass people out there going through this house and removing those items and packing them up and loading them into the car or into the U-Haul. I did when I was a child, just lost in space. Yeah, my brain, I'm telling you, I couldn't even think. I'll be honest with you. I didn't realize at the time it was shock. I've had shock twice. One was when I was in a bad car accident. I think I was like 12, or either 12 or 14, but I was young. And my parents both almost died. They almost lost their lives in that wreck. There was our entire engine, like from our window, from our front windshield down, there was nothing left of the car. Had this person hit my parents 6 inches, I don't even think it was that large. If they had been any closer to my parents, both my parents would have been dead. And that was I remember getting out of the car wreck. I didn't know what had happened. There was just a lot of, I can't explain it. It was just a fog. And I just remember just shaking so uncontrollably. And I remember there was this older lady that I was standing on the sidewalk and I was just dazed and I was just shaking and I thought my parents were dead. And I was I couldn't move. I couldn't think. I couldn't see. I couldn't talk. I couldn't do anything. I could just sit there and just shake. And it took a little bit to snap out of, but I did snap out of it. And when you snap out of it, you know, you're not the same. I mean, it just doesn't, like you're shocked and then you're back to normal. You realize something's not right. But your head's still very, very confused. But I don't understand the 8-hour window to call law enforcement. I don't know if I'm ever going to quite understand that until I hear the reason out of their mouths. I think once we hear, it might be one of those things where once they explain it, we're like, oh, wow, that makes sense. But I just I don't know. I don't know if this will ever make sense to me personally, because I think of my little sister. My little sister's just a few years older than these kids. And if somebody hurt my sister and one of her roommates didn't call law enforcement for 8 hours, I would be angry. I would be hurt. There was a lot of emotions that I think I would go through if the shoe was on the other foot. And do I feel bad for Dylan? Yeah, I do. But just because you feel bad for somebody and you understand that you don't know if you would have done much better in that position, the bottom line is it did happen. I didn't make these decisions. It wasn't me that didn't call law enforcement for all these hours. It was them. And we have to talk about it because this is the crux of Bryan Kohberger's case. They will capitalize on these issues. They will capitalize on these issues and they will run these victims into the ground. Unfortunately, all social media is doing is giving them some thicker skin, because when they get into that courtroom, that attorney is going to tear them apart. She's not going to be nice to them. If they break down in tears, she doesn't care. All she cares about is getting her client off the hook, defending him. That's what she wants to do. So there you guys have it. That is it. I don't really have a whole lot to go through. I was going to go through some of my older videos just because I did make these revelations long before this article. And I was going to show my receipts. But in all fairness, right? We don't share receipts around here. And I like people doing their damn work. Right? If you don't believe me, go do your research. Prove me wrong, buddy. Prove me wrong. So that's it. I'm going to open up the phone lines ever so slightly for a little bit of time. Limited time only, right? I'm going to open up the phone lines just a little bit and hear from you guys. I'd like, if you guys just want to call and say good morning, I'm down with that as well. But if you guys would like to discuss this or talk about your feelings about the phone call, about the 911, about what's going on between Bethany and Dylan, do you believe they were texting during this massacre? I believe the statement is partially, I'm only going to give it a half truth on the Bullhorn Betty channel, because I believe that there were communications by text, but I don't believe it was during this whole massacre, because again, I heard that she reached out to every other roommate there, and the only one that did respond to her was Bethany. So there's a whole differences there. I think that we have part of the information, but not all of the information. All right. Phones are open. Phones are open. Oh, where's my banner that tells me my phone number? Hold on. I'm lost. I'm lost in space. I'm in shock. I need to stop. All right, guys. The telephone number to call into the Bullhorn Betty channel is 724-249-6140. Again, 724-249-6140. If you guys would like to call in, that would be great. And so I was going through this and looking at it. Oh my goodness. You know what? I keep forgetting how messy the office was back here. Thank goodness that our sweetener, I always say things happen for a reason. Don't I always say that on here? Like, things always happen for a reason. There's no mistakes. Remember how disgruntled I was about the sweetener that fell and it just went into this plume? Sweetener is a lot lighter than sugar. So when this container fell, it was like a powder plume that went up. And it went over everything. It was like this fine, like baby powder dust in this office, on the floor, on everything. And it's sweetener. So it's sticky. It's sticky. So I had to rip everything out of this office. and wipe every single thing down. It was awful. It was awful. But the good news is because I had to rip everything out of the office, I might as well put it back in the office nicer. And that's what we did. We decided to make this table here and get some little figurines like this one. Coffee, a warm, delicious alternative to hating everybody every morning for forever. We have the cure for haters. They need coffee. That's what they need. Sleep and coffee. And when they get cranky, they need to be laid down to bed, because we know our children out here need to have a nap during the day, right? Because children have to have naps. And since we have a lot of adult children here, we need to start putting them down. That's why I'm coming early, so we can put them down to rest for their little nap. I say vanilla milkshake. I say strawberry milkshake. Okay, I'm not a vanilla person. I'm not a chocolate person. I'm kind of a strawberry person. I have a little bit of bubbly personality, something that chocolate and vanilla doesn't give you. I don't want to be a vanilla girl. What can I say? What can I say? All right, guys. Well, the phones aren't ringing. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Many of you know I have a lot of work left ahead of me today to get started on our show for tomorrow. And then also starting next week, I'm going to be incorporating. I know we were talking about my political stuff and everything like that, and I've kind of stepped away from that just to get all this stuff under control. But 2024 elections are coming back up. So I got to get out there and start working my second job, you know. So now I'm going to be double dutying for the next 18 months. And it's going to be very difficult. So I hope you guys all stick with me. But we'll be traveling the country. One way or another, we're going to be traveling the country for the next 18 months. And hopefully we can get everything scheduled right. I'm probably going to need to lean on you guys a little bit throughout this year, depending on finances and whatnot and what cases are breaking. But we'll see. We'll play it by ear and get whatever we need done. All right, guys. Well, you guys take care. I hope you had a wonderful time. We're going to be discussing more Bryan Kohberger stuff. The reason why we're kind of stepping away from this case just ever so slightly is because he waived his rights to a speedy trial. And when he waives his rights to a speedy trial, it slows this entire case down. Like, we were going to be going to a trial on October 2nd. That trial is no longer happening on October 2nd. So, it's October 10th. So it would have already happened. So I'm looking at the end of 2024 or possibly 2025 for this case. But I have a funny feeling it's going to be resolved hopefully in 2024. But I really do anticipate an early 2025 trial for this. So, but it'll be one or the other. We're either going to have a late 2024 or an early 2025, unless something majorly happens. But they're only going to be able to kick this can down the road for so long. All right, guys, have a great day. Don't forget to be fearless. If you guys see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe and kind to one another, especially in the comment box below. Don't be a bully, be a Betty. God bless.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.